Session review.
Okay, no nonsense, session 49 and 50 review. So, first thing we start is some talking about session 49. So, we all have some individual conversation with the Straw Hat virus that I would like to go over. Cruel Wrench has a conversation with Frankie. It doesn't really go anywhere, but Frankie just kind of describes how the third contract is this really important one where Cruel Wrench will lose control of their soul if they sign it with PepsiCo. So Frankie really urges Cruel Wrench to not sign this contract, and kind of tries to ask Cruel Wrench what their plans are for the future with all these demons going on. Nothing comes of it. Cruel Wrench will not give up any information of what the plan is. They also have some fun doing a shooting gallery. Diogen fed Luffy eggs for a long time. But then when Luffy asks about Diogen parents, Diogen gets super angry, doesn't pay for the eggs, and runs away. Whatever. Inu and Nami go to a book bar where they do some flirting, where Inu uses some of his new powers on Nami, something else, and they meet with a guy named Tweak who tells them about Vesa and the Tieflings. All he knows is that the Tieflings came around 20 years ago. Vesa had a wife who was gone, and he also has a daughter who seems to have never made it to Atlantis. So it's pretty interesting. And then Bunny went on a trip with Zoro to learn some cooking from an elven chef. Zoro was asking Bunny for help, but then Bunny admitted they didn't know anything, so they met up with an elven chef, which didn't really have much to go from it. Then the team went on their way to Atlanta. They went to go find Atlanta to get back Mar-a-Lago so that our wonderful good friend Vesa would have Mar-a-Lago and be able to give them all of the boons that they requested. So they meet up. They go as a team. The Straw Hats stay behind to keep an eye on Vesa, but they all go as a team. And what happens is they end up going to meet up with the sharks they had before. They find some smaller sharks, and they also find this big hammerhead shark, which they convince to go in with them. When they actually get to the area, Cruel Wrench goes invisible, goes inside, and then is taken control of by the enemy. Probably should have seen that coming. This epicenter of the voices that were once used by our good friend Giuseppe to control the Straw Hats. Once again, control the Straw Hats or control the sorry they'll control the party once again, take control of the party. So that was tough, but it was fine as it went. After that, they after Crunch is taken, the party decides to push in, and they do where an abyssal choir squid, what's in the middle, ends up showing itself and begins combat. So now let's get into the combat. We had some very interesting things happen in this combat I'd love to talk about. So the party fights the squid. Diogen and Inu are both attacked. Diogen gets picked up though. Inu, however, is able to dodge the attack and runs up to the pillars in the middle, those glowing pillars, and destroys them. The squid then talks with Diogen, Inu, and Bunny a little bit about how it's being controlled, and the one that is controlling it is nearby. And they all know this. Cruel Wrench jumps out of combat with a fireball right at the team, does massive damage to everyone. It's like a really high roll. I think it was 37 damage. So everyone kind of gets pissed at Cruel Wrench. When Inu did destroy the pillars, they did encapsulate Cruel Wrench, so Cruel Wrench couldn't move. So that happened, but they were still under the control of the spell from Navia. Then what happens is Toby and Masayoshi go on a little side quest to break Cruel Wrench free, which they do. And then as this is all happening, Navia reveals themselves to, come out. At first it is this nice little young girl talking to them. She's a fully paraplegic. She is disabled, cannot walk, but she's in this wheelchair, like wheeling herself out. And it's this young girl, pleading them to run away, to leave, as it is a scary place. But then they see as this changes, her vision sways, and you see now a different look in her eyes, and has the voice of a dark, deep man comes out named Seraphel, who states that they are a large, powerful demon. They try to coax Inu into joining them as they want to defeat the demon that destroyed Inu's friends all that time ago. But alas, the party decides to not work with Seraphel, and they fight Seraphel. There are some times where Navy goes invisible, tries to run away, takes the squid back over. Some more fighting happens. The squid tries to do hypnotic pattern on people, as Navia also tries to do hypnotic pattern on people. They keep going back and forth, trying to get it done. In the end, though, the team was able to take back control of the squid. They're able to corner Navia. They're able to down her, which then leads to the demon's control of her being taken away. Seraphel more or less leaves her body. He proves, though, that he believed they would not defeat him if he was in his true form, but since he's in the form of a paraplegic girl, you know, he doesn't have much chance against them. But he is able to convince them of this, or he's able to, run away as they shoo off Seraphel, and then Navia awakens. So Navia essentially has this whole thing where Navia is like, listen, Vesa is the patron of Ignorox. Ignorox is the strongest demon, most powerful demon, and they have to stop their dad, her dad, Vesa, the tiefling leader, from coming back to Mar-a-Lago. So now that Seraphel has been thwarted, that she informs them that Ignorox will know this soon and will come back to reclaim Mar-a-Lago. So the team needs to act now. No time for resting. They must go. So the party all agrees they're going to go to Atlantis. Bunny is going to go get the dwarven elven leaders. Masayoshi is going to get the Straw Hat pirates. And Inu, Crowrench, Diogen, his plan is to go chat up Vesa and convince him that everything's okay. They go in. Not to my understanding, they brought Navia in. So obviously, having Navia there really shows Vesa a little bit of what's going on immediately. But they are still able to distract him and latch the anti-demonic bracelet onto his wrists, as was the plan. Vesa, however, then goes into a monologue where he uses his strength to break the wristband off, and then he tries to call upon Ignorox to give him his power to help defeat him. And then as Vesa stands there valiantly, everyone is frozen in the fear that Ignorox starts every battle by imbuing in people. No one can move, just as Inu remembers again, the hooded figure that was once there appears again in front of him and starts monologuing to Inu, saying that, oh, I can't believe he's back. You have been trying so hard to catch me, haven't you? Really toying at him, and also points at everyone in the party and says that all of you are prime targets for Ignorox. However, then he goes up to Vesa and informs him that Vesa is not worthy of his power, and his power he will not be helping him in this fight. He wishes to fight Inu, Diogen, Cruelwrench, and Bunny at a different time, but not today. Vesa immediately has his whole entire face change as he recognizes that it's over. He's been betrayed once again by a demon. He was betrayed by PepsiCo once long ago when he was forced to leave the Nine Hells, as Navia explained. Cruelwrench did not ask any questions about this. And now he's being once again betrayed by Ignorox all this time. He lays down and gives up as he is surrounded by the dwarves and the elves who bring him into justice. And thus, Bunny helps Seraphel's Nen be pulled from Navia's antlers, and the team rejoices in a fantastic win in thwarting the demons from these tieflings. That's where we ended, and we have a one shot tonight run by none other than Diogen. So please keep it out for it. I will be running Diogen next session. Maybe we can do a fun review of the one shot. We'll see. I might need to be a note taker for once, as I'm not the DM. So very excited, but hope you guys had a good time this session. I thought it went really well. And I'm really excited to see where the storyline goes. Hopefully, we're building further up into finishing the story instead of just fucking around as you do sometimes. Well, have a good one.